Hey, so good afternoon, everyone. My name is Claudia Bellapunto. I am the web applications developer for the Florida Center. I do a little bit more than just development. So I take care of the FCSUI community that all the approved programs are using to submit all the reports, the applications, grants, and all that. Also, I am the admin behind the planning tool that the teams are using right now to go over all the self-assessment and then the planning and all that. So a lot of technology related, it's my role. But we wanted to do a presentation about how would you market your program if you are thinking about starting an FPCTP, or if you are already an approved program, and what is missing, what will be good for you to do. We did a session like this, I would say it was 2018. So the numbers that you're gonna see here are kind of a comparison from that moment to where we are now. So the way that I'm thinking this should go, more like a conversation. So we have some approved programs that already have some presence in social media. So I would really appreciate if anyone has any input on it and they have experiences to share. I would say please share, because I think the idea is, and understanding the importance to be out there in the community, making sure that the families and the students know that these programs exist. And this is a good tool for that. So if you think about it, it's pretty much free. So that's why we want to talk about it. I'm not in any matter the expert. I'm just to tell a little bit about why I did this before. Is when I started at the center, we didn't have a website, we didn't have social media pages, Facebook, basically. And I said, I think we have to be online. If we want to get more programs approved, you have to be out there for people to know that we exist. You always hear about the 120 eligible institutions that can be approved programs. But how are they going to know that the center exists and we have the resources to share, and that the student has these opportunities if we're not out there telling people that we exist? So I said, okay, I will just go ahead without really not knowing that much. I went in, I created Instagram, I created Twitter, I created our Facebook page, and I kept working on the website. Then we started doing the webinars that you all see, and we didn't have a place to put those webinars in. I said, well, maybe we need a YouTube channel so people can go back and watch that. So that's how everything has started. It's just my personal experience, what the center have done to being from zero to where we are now, which is not even close to where we want to be. We, of course, want to keep growing. But what we want to do is just show us what we have done, our experiences, what has worked for us in increasing the number of followers. How do we look at the content? What do we want to do? So that's basically what our takeaways are going to be. That's what I'm thinking about discussing. If anyone has any suggestions, again, I know that some people already have some connection with some marketing agencies. So if anyone has any feedback or recommendations for new programs or institutions that want to start programs, so I would say, please go ahead and share, because I think that's always our goal. How we recruit more students, how do we get students employed? So that's why I always heard from Janice and Drews to say that's the ultimate goal. So that's basically it. So I just want to put this here and just think about basically what is social media. Right now, social media is pretty much everything. Now you can even do a watch party in Hulu and Amazon Prime. So you can be in a different room and still be sharing information with someone. So that's why it's not only being on Facebook and having an account or being TikTok watching 15 seconds videos anymore. It's a lot more than that. So we have to think about it, and that's why we decided to take on this journey, basically. So a little bit more about that. So look at these numbers. So one that I am very impressed, and I think it's very important, and I have to say, the center is not in there, we're already considering is LinkedIn to start on it because of the employment, it's how powerful it is with employment and with companies that are there recruiting all the time. And maybe not for all the fields that our students are in, but for some of them it might be helpful for to find employment for the students. So I think it's always helpful to look at that one. But 180 million people are in there just from the USA. So that is something that we also have to consider. So something that we were not very good at the moment when we started this, it was doing Instagram. And we have to recognize, and I'm going to show a little bit later, the demographics on that. 18 to 24 young Americans are in there. So that's definitely something that you have to have presence in there. So these numbers actually reflect the reason why we cannot ignore this anymore. As I said earlier, this is pretty much free. So we can take advantage of this to put the word out about the programs and do it in the right way. It might take some time, it might need some effort, but it is possible, and I think it's a very, very good and powerful tool. So this is what I was kind of looking at it, and of course, as I was saying, we wanted to keep growing, but this is where we were before. And this was only me. When the first numbers came up in 2019, it was only me working. Right now, so we have Iris, and I think most of you know her. So she's the one that kind of communicate with the programs, asking for pictures for the stories. But we also have Tacy. She's a graduate assistant, and she's helping us all the posts and all those videos from the acceptance letters. She's the one editing that. And we also have Drexler, who's been third day with the center, where he's already doing great pictures. So we're very close to be at 1,000 followers on Facebook. I'm hoping that we get there maybe by the end of the year, now that we have a full team on that. So, and this is pretty much putting no money on it. So that's something that I always say. So think about if you put just a little bit, and I'm gonna show a little bit of that too. So we grow a little bit. So we're not very happy about YouTube, and the reason why I don't have a comparison is because when I did the presentation in 2019, we did not have a YouTube channel. So, but that number, I will say 2 months ago, it was only 35. So I'm not that sad about that part. And we are not in TikTok and in LinkedIn. So I think that is something that will be kind of our next step that we have to do. The reason why we realized, to be honest, so we have an intern from IES, and we were just helping her to set up. She was graduating. We said, well, you really need a LinkedIn profile. When she was entering, I was helping her out to enter her experience. She was going to say FCSUA. We were not there. So you know that when you are working in a company, it kind of links to your company. And FCSUA was not there. It's like, well, wait a minute, this is a mistake. We need to be here for people to connect with us. So if you think about it from the program perspective, you can also be there for your students to say, we graduated from this university, but we also from this program. So you're saying, I exist as a program, and this student graduated from this program. So that is something to think about. And from TikTok, my experience with it is through Instagram right now, but I'm thinking that we really cannot ignore that anymore, to actually have our own account. It's big, and the audience there is very, very powerful, and I'm thinking that what we do right now on Instagram can now extend to TikTok as well. And it's something that I think the programs should consider. People record videos all the time from their phone, so you don't have to think about the content as something that is like super, it's a super quality. It's fine just to be with your students and take a quick video, or ask them to they can record, they can actually create their own videos and share through the program page. That is something that we have seen that, especially us and the UCF, like students take over the Instagram's account, for example, and they just show their day at the program or the class. There is something that attracts people to your program, interests, families. And again, it's still free. So that is definitely something to consider. Okay, so this is just a little bit of background, how we started, and just to showing you how this is done, what is the good side of it and what is a little bit of the downside. So when we created our Facebook page, the part that I don't like about this is it has to be created, and the people that are going to be working with you have to add them as with their personal accounts. So that is the downside to it. Sometimes you don't want to link your personal profile with your works account, but right now it's the only way. So that's a part that I really don't like. But what you can take advantage is the role. So we are all in there with different roles. I even have Drew and Janice in there. So with different roles. So they can go in and they can share if they are presenting or artists in a place that I'm not there, they can take a picture and they can share. So you're kind of making all your team being part of it and the whole experience. So that is something also to think about. And then the other thing is making sure that you have a username. That is not required when you create a Facebook page. So you can go without it, but if you have it, it will make it easier for people to find you and to tag you and to mention you, so it is easier for you to be recognized out there. This, a little bit better. You can, the way that we have it, you don't have, it's not linked to any personal account. You just go ahead and create a separate account, and I will say, of course, don't use a personal account. Try to use your institution email. That's how we have it set up in FCSUA. Same thing, make sure to create a username. And we discovered that whatever you have in your bio, which is a limited amount of characters, think about how you're writing that, how you will you describe your program or the program that you're thinking about to have approved, because that's what people actually read when they're looking for you. The other thing that I want to mention at this point is, and if you go into our social media accounts, you notice that our usernames are all the same. It's Florida CSUA. That's important. So if you have different usernames and different platforms, people are not going to find you because they might remember only one. So what we did is we tried to be consistent across all the 3 accounts that we have right now. So, and even if you go to our YouTube channel, our Gmail account is Florida CSUA. So be consistent with that. It's easy to do, and in that way you will make sure that everywhere that people want to mention you, doesn't matter the platform, you're going to be fine. Then, so then Instagram, I will say the same thing as a separate. It doesn't have to be related to Facebook. It could be, but not necessarily. I already mentioned the information about the username. The only thing here is that your profile information has to be updated from the web. It cannot be done from your phone. But they upgraded something. It was very interesting because when I did this presentation, they were not allowing you to post from the web version. Now you can, which I think is easier. Sometimes people is better doing it from the web than from your phone. But now they have both options available. And then, well, we created our YouTube channel. For this, you need a Gmail account. So we went in and we created one. You go ahead, you create your channels. And what I will say is make sure that when you create it, mention your website, mention your other social medias. You will have an area there to describe what is your program about and some other information. So make sure that you're mentioning your other social media accounts. And something that we're trying to get better at is making playlists. For example, we recently worked on a campaign that's called Allow Me to Reintroduce Myself. So all those videos are going to be there in YouTube under that playlist. Every recording that we did when we were doing this event virtually. So we had a playlist only for, let's say, the virtual 2021 Florida Peppy when we were having all the sessions in Zoom. So people can go back to that and see it. For those that are in the FCSUA community, those are our approved programs. We have all those tutorials that we record as webinars. We have that in there as playlists. So it's a better way to organize your content. So it's very good if when you create a channel, just start from there. So it's easier if you have it in that way. Okay. So then the other thing that we get is sometimes people they don't know what to share, what to post. And pretty much everything that you think expose your program, that tells the families out there, the students out there, that your program exists, that your institution exists. It is content. So that's something really, really important to consider. So I have lists here like applications and admission deadlines. When those students, it's something that we have been doing recently is the programs are recording the students receiving their acceptance letters in a short video. That is very good, and we're putting that up in Instagram. The interesting thing is that most of the people that are seeing those short videos are students. Are 18 to 24, we're monitoring that, and it is working. So it's students from other programs are liking those videos, so they're recognizing themselves when they see those other students accepted in those short videos. So it's a very, very powerful tool. Like you can, success stories. What is your program doing to spread the word? Like the contact information. That's all those things that you can't imagine can be considered content. And something that I always like to share is that general information about the program, if you create posts like that, think about them as you can reuse them. So you don't have to be thinking about content, every day. Sometimes, maybe a Friday, which is a day that is maybe not as busy as maybe Monday is, you can just reshare. Here's the this FPCTP contact information, or we are located in this campus and this campus. So there are content that you can create and reiterate. It is fine to do that. It's okay. People retweet all the time, and it is okay. So you can reuse things that you like or things that, and this is something I'm liking a lot from Facebook, is showing you, even in the pages, I know that it's done through your personal profiles, but now it's doing it through the pages, is that they are showing you what you post a year ago on your page. So it is helpful just to revisit that and remember people, hey, this is what we were doing 2 years ago. And people say, I remember, I was part of that event, or I went to that Pepe or to that mid-year. So that is something also to consider. Okay, so these are just some examples. That is actually the student that Iris was referring this morning that got included in the, I think it was the society. So he was like a hired owner. So he was a very good, it was a very impressive, based on his credentials, based on his achievements in the program. And Christian sent us this picture. And this is actually a video, one of those acceptance videos to the Academy for Community Inclusion program. So those are examples. So who creates content? So if you think about it, it's pretty much everyone. So your staff going to an event, family members sharing a picture of an achievement that the student had. The students can also create content. As I was saying, you can make them participants of your accounts, ask them to take pictures, ask them to do short videos during the class. If they're having, one example, Robert Morgan and their cooking classes. They are very good taking pictures when they're like sharing with the chef. They're on their baking and pastry. That is what tells people out there what skills the students are gaining and what's gonna happen after, the chances for them to get employed. So you're putting the word out. And what's better than that what the actual students are learning. Okay, so this part is a little bit of tips. So how we started. We thought about, okay, so we're gonna go and we're gonna do, we're all gonna be like Adobe certified and we're gonna use Photoshop, Illustrator, and everything like that. Those tools are hard. They're not intuitive at all. They're not. So I remember that when I started, I discovered Canva. And they were just starting. I think that they're going to take over Adobe at some point because they're so good. And they have a free version. So that is something that you can use. They have very, very nice and cool templates that you can use for everything. You can even do short videos in there. So the video, those slides that you're seeing every morning where we're getting together, something that Drexler, Iris, and Tacy put together. in Canva. So no need to go super professional on Adobe. We do have access. UCF gave us Adobe licenses, but we are, I would say, like 90% of the content that we create is created there. So go ahead, create an account and play with it. That's how we learn.
If you have a school district account, then you pretty much have a pro account too. So.
Oh, that's good to know.
You have to sign up through your school district though, and if you sign up through your school district, then it's like just a hair below the pro account.
Well, that's good to know. Thank you so much.
It's a little bit annoying to sign up to, but it's worth it.
Yeah. The other good thing is that you even can have several members of your team in there. So it's not just it's not individual. So we have a team, we share content all the time. Why are you thinking about this that I'm creating from, pictures that we receive? You can even edit the pictures there. So that's very, very powerful tool, and it was funny how much they have evolved. Those are others. I mean, they're not the only one. There are others in there that I have explored. So far, we like Canva. The other thing is sometimes you say, oh, well, my program is barely starting, and I don't have good content. I don't have pictures from the students. Where do I get that? All the sites are free for you to download very good quality images for you to use. So I will definitely say check them out because we have to use them a lot, and they're very good. You technically need to recognize the artist, but they give you the free version, so you just go ahead and download. You can even do different sizes depending on what you want to do. If you want to use it for the website, if you want to do it for social media. So it's a very good and powerful resource as well. Okay, so these are our tips. If you notice, the first one is bolded. So this was an interesting conversation that we had, Janice and I had, with the established approved program, with established FPCTPs. Please include the marketing in your budget when you're submitting a proposal. Why not? So it is okay. It is okay to think about how do I want to put the word out there. And sometimes you have to go a little bit beyond just using social media with the free version. Maybe you want to put a little bit of funds into advertising your applications. Like you have a deadline for accepting applications. That's what we did for this event. I'm gonna show you the results when I finish with the presentation. I will show you our analytics. We put a little bit of money. We said, okay, we want this much. We want to run it from this day to that day. It was not a lot. And we got a lot of clicks and a lot of people sharing that this was happening. They might not be here, but we're putting the word out, and that's what's important. And it's not a lot. So that's what I'm saying. Think about when you're writing your grants to include that in the budget. It is acceptable, totally acceptable. The other thing is, and I know social media and marketing can take time. And sometimes you don't have someone to do that full time. So think about automating tasks. There are a lot of tools out there that you can use, and I have a slide about that. So that's something that you can take advantage of. Planning a little bit. So what do I want to share? What are the things that I know that are going to happen? Like we did for this event. So Stacy sat down and she took all the content sessions. Those are the posts that if you go into Facebook and Twitter, you're seeing right now. We have all the content sessions. We knew weeks ago that those were going to happen. Why do you have to wait until you get here to post? No, you can sit down, you can work in Canva as she did, create all the information, and then you go to the schedule tool that Facebook has and put everything up. So you don't have to be worrying at the moment, oh, I haven't posted anything about the mindfulness session that Iris is having with Debbie from UNF. So that kind of things, you're saving time with that. So you can be platform specific as well, thinking about the content that you're going to share and where are you going to share it. Consider the advertisement as I mentioned. Then think about how should I put the content out there, and then look at the results. Just don't post and go, wait, look at what's happening with that. So this is what I was talking about automating those tasks. All these tools give you that, that power. So you can plan, you can schedule, and most of them, if I will not say all, except for Meta, that's the one from Facebook. So with that one, you can control Facebook and Instagram. You can connect your social media accounts, and you can schedule the content. So when I was doing this by myself, what I did is I said, Monday, after I'm done with our staff meeting, is the day that I sit down and I plan. What are we gonna do? And sometimes what I did is I took a section of our website and said, okay, we have a section that is the students and families. I'm going to, this week is gonna be about that. I'm gonna share all the resources that we have there about students and families, one for each day of the week. I don't have to wait. I don't have to do it every day. I set that Monday and I did it, and I scheduled everything, and rest of the week, I just kept going with my work. And that's how this is very helpful and powerful. This is very interesting. So I look a little bit around, when is a good time to actually post and share content? So all the platforms behave a little bit different because it depends on the users. As I said before, our experience with TikTok and LinkedIn is not very good, but I really find very interesting how it says that for TikTok, you should post early in the morning. It looks like that's what people are doing when they wake up. So, but maybe that's what we have to do. So in the middle of the day and then at night when they go to bed. But I look specifically for higher education. I can tell, especially for Facebook and Twitter, and especially for Facebook, that is true. On Thursday and Friday, we do not post anything important. We don't get as high as numbers as we get Monday through Wednesday. So that is something to think about. So that's why I said, just don't post and go away. Look at the data. How is it working? If it's actually, if the audience is responding to you. So this is something that we kind of try to follow, and it is working. It does work. So something to consider as well. Then be platform specific. This means basically no posting the same thing everywhere. This is something that we started doing when we first created our account. So it was the way that we had to try to get more followers, more likes. But we're now at the point where we can do this. So we have, even though our numbers are not super high in terms of followers, it actually works. So we have decided, and it is working for us, especially trying to help the approved programs with recruitment, that our Instagram account is only for content about the students. We do not post on Instagram anything related to higher education institution like this. There, we try to focus on the 18 to 24 audience, sharing those acceptance letters, doing those campaigns like the one that I was mentioning, allowing to reintroduce myself. So because that platform is the one that right now is getting more attention for students. So what we do is we post that and we redirect to those institutions. So if the student is from McFadden Technical College, so we make sure that we tag that institution so people know that there is an FPCTP there, and that student got accepted. This video is from that student. So that's what we do. Facebook is more like this. It's this kind of content. It's trying to increase the number of programs. So we noticed that the audience there is older. So the people that work at higher education have more presence there than in Instagram. So we're making sure that we're targeting them in Facebook, and that's how we're getting the word out about trying to recruit all those 120 eligible institutions. And that's how it's working. That's kind of how we have more technical schools here today. We have a new university. So that's basically how that is working. To be honest, with Twitter, our own experience, I think we work better with Facebook and Instagram. I don't think, so we use it for short announcements, things like that. We do have followers there, but we noticed that it's better. Facebook works better for us than Twitter. And that's our personal experience. We know that from looking at our data, how people actually look at what we share. So it might be different for your program. Maybe you have some people that they do have Twitter accounts, and they go through it and they go through the feed and they look and they explore. For us, it doesn't work that much. So these are some examples of the content. So just thinking about from the program perspective, what content can be shared. So there are others, of course. Then what we were talking about, which is the advertisement. So the way that we have been doing this, we pretty much did it only with Facebook before. What is very cool about the fact that now you can manage Facebook and Instagram together through Meta is that the advertisement that you pay for in Facebook also shows in Meta, in Instagram, sorry. So I can go into our Instagram from my personal Instagram, and I can see this event happening, seeing as a story. So they're kind of putting the same amount of money into both platforms, and it is working. So it depends what works best for you. I mean, maybe in your case it's not Facebook, it's more Instagram, because what you're trying to do is recruit students. But I can tell you, and we can play with it a little bit, go in and try it if your program already has an account in either of these platforms, and see it's not a lot. Consider what you can get back from it, which is more students in your programs. So it's definitely something to consider. That's the kind of content that you want to think of. I think when you're having open houses, when you're having application deadlines, share success stories, share graduation when those are happening. And then something that for me is very important is who is going to see the advertisement. So you don't want the entire country to see it. So you can restrict it to your county. You can restrict it to the state. That's how we do it. So when we're advertising this event, that's how we set up the ad. We thought about, okay, location. We don't want anyone, maybe a little bit outside of Florida, but we want more institutions, more Florida institutions in here. So we restricted the location to Florida. We looked at our audience, so the age range, and based on that result, we went into and we did the advertisement based on that, because that's the age range of people that actually visit our Facebook page. And same thing with the others. So you can actually target their interest, like higher education institution, higher education institutions. You can do others like intellectual disabilities, depending on what you want to focus. Then think about how are you going to elaborate your content. So something that I discovered at the very beginning is that sometimes people just share text, put visuals on it. Most of the people are visual. Create something that people can see and that captures their attention. So that's why it kind of connects back. That connects back to the graphic design tools. That's why it goes back to Canvas. Make something that, and it's not that hard. Take advantage of the templates that they have. Make something that they probably don't even have to read through the content of the post. When they see it, they can actually say, oh, this is about a program, or this is a deadline for an application that is happening at Robert Morgan Technical College for the TOPS program. Use a live. I have seen that. Some program that actually use that a lot is Santa Fe College. They go live a lot when they're doing like outdoor activities with their students. It's very, very good. Very good. And they get a lot of people seeing what their students are doing. So that's a good thing. And then use the stories and the reels. That's what people are watching these days. So you cannot go away. You cannot go away from that. So that's definitely also something to take advantage of. And then look at the analytics. Look at the results. And the reason why you have to do that is who is seeing your content. So know your audience so you can actually target and direct more your content. So what's working, what's not working. Maybe you create something, you say, oh, people don't watch my videos because they're too long. Maybe they react better to the pictures. That is something that when you go into the analytics side of Facebook and Instagram, it tells you what's working better, where do you have more views and more clicks. So that is definitely something to think about as well. And in that way, you can decide which platform works better for you. That's how we decided that Twitter is okay. We know that for us, it's not as good as Facebook and Instagram for trying to hold the programs to recruit the students. So that's something we have learned from that, for looking at the numbers. So that is something that we actually do. We put it in the center's annual report. So Iris and I sat down and looked at the whole year of data, what people have seen, what content worked, what didn't work. So that is something that if you pay attention to it, and I'm a huge fan of data, it talks to you. And then this is a little bit of our analytics, and this is what it's basically Facebook and Instagram. And if you look at Instagram, you see how our followers in the 18 to 24 range are higher in Instagram than in Facebook. So that tells you that we're kind of doing what we want to do. We want to direct the students there, and then the institutions to the Facebook page. So these are the results. And this is actually the number of people that we have reached, and this is only in the last month. So the only difference in there is we put a little bit of funds into advertise this event, and that way you're gonna get higher numbers. But again, it is worth it because people are seeing, and sometimes when you go in like in Instagram and you see something that is cute, sometimes you go and you look at that page and you see what else is in there. And that's actually what is happening. You keep looking at our content, and sometimes we get notification that someone is liking something in our Instagram account that it was not posted yesterday, that it was posted 2 months ago. You say, oh, wow, that's great. The people are actually scrolling down and looking. Okay. So I wanted to stop here. I want to show you a little bit about the analytics and how it looks. But I wanted to know if anyone has any questions, any experiences to share, or those that have done something that others can take.
Okay, so I'm not great with social media, hence the session. But my question is, we started a Facebook group, not a page. And the idea for the group was to have our students interact with one another. And I don't really know how to get them to engage with one another. I know how to post on Facebook and do all of those things where you're trying to get them to engage with you, but how do you get folks to engage with one another on a platform?
That is actually a very good question. That is something that I wanted to talk about, is also the group versus the pages. But I will say you can put things in there that makes them interact, like events, like surveys. What do you like? Like they can share their thoughts. There are all those kind of things in there now, so they can know each other, because sometimes that's what they don't know who is the person next to you. So what's your favorite movie? What book are you reading? What kind of career goals do you have? So make them share that. So maybe they want to put in the comments, or put a picture of what you're doing now. That kind of things. Even what we did with the campaigns that we recently did. So we created a hashtag. You can do that, and I can ask them to take a picture and use a hashtag. So that is something that you can do. So in that way, let's introduce. Let's make sure that your another students in the program know you. So that's a way that you can do it. If anyone has other suggestions.
So one thing I would say is, when it comes to Facebook groups versus the pages, you kind of want to make sure that the Facebook page speaks differently than the Facebook group. You don't want to make the group feel like it's an extension of the page, but you want it to make it feel like it's a safe space. So like Claudia said, make it engaging in the groups. Put up questions that will make the people want to answer or talk to each other. But I will also say, don't feel like you have to monitor the group, because the more people who come in and the more they see that that's naturally what goes on in the group, the more they'll start to naturally come up with their own conversations. I've seen in groups where I used to run groups for different student programs, and after a while, the students would come in there and they'd be like, hey, I took this class. Does anyone have this textbook? Or what do you think about this class? So if you just sort of plant that seed in the group where it's like, this is what you talk about in the group, these are the sort of conversations that happen in the group, after a while, the students will see that and they'll start picking it up on their own, and they'll feel like, okay, this is a place where I can talk about this and not feel like they're being watched or monitored. Whereas on a page, because it's more public, there may be more fear of, oh, maybe someone will see this and it'll come back to haunt me. But making the group that safe space where it's like, this is where you can talk about what you're dealing with, what's going on, what you're interested in, that will help with that engagement as well.
Thank you.
I just want to share, I do the Santa Fe College Project Saint Facebook page, and I just, and we see the benefits there doing the lives, but also we have our students do a lot of our content, so we embed it into the classroom homework. Say, hey, for homework, do a video of you doing an independent living skill, or show us what you're doing at work, and so some of that get our page noticed and everything. So we've been using that for a while, and we share any announcements, and also I share any other community resources. I'm also an APD provider, so I get a lot of community resources that I share. And just by that, like for instance, Center for Independent Living may be doing something, and I share and I can tag them. And then when they're having something, they can share our resources as well. So.
Okay, I just have a question. So we have created a group, and we were kind of wanting to see if anyone here would be interested in linking up with our group, so that maybe some of your students would be interested in connecting with some of our students, so that they could kind of like build a sense of community. So if anybody in here maybe afterwards wants to get together and we can connect, I think that would be really cool.
Just to piggyback off of like how to make the Facebook page more engaging, you can also use the stories as well and do polls, ask a quick little question, and students sometimes, they'll answer. It'll be anonymous, right, as well. But yeah, anything that's like, interesting to them, relevant to them.
In the group as well. Yeah, and that is something that I wanted to mention, the difference between the two. So I think that I've seen it not only for students, I've also seen programs that use the groups for parents. So for parents to share experiences, so they feel like it's a closed space, as Drexler was saying, to share their experiences, trying to get their family members to the program, and how was the journey, and what's working for them. So I exactly don't remember what program did that, but I've seen it and they say it works. So that's the difference. You want to make sure that your page is the word to the outside, making sure that you're letting everyone else know that you exist, but maybe the group is where you have your students and the parents. I've seen the parents, especially the parents, and the feedback that we have received, the comments, they said it is wonderful, it works.
Go ahead. Okay, sorry. One more thing with like Facebook page. Yes, it's more of like a safe spot for the students, but you should also have some type of rules and regulations. I've seen that in Facebook pages as well. Yeah, so not just anybody can just enter that group, They have to, put their name. Like you can set it up, put your name, or why are you here, and just something like little, like, rules.
It makes you feel It makes them feel like it's gonna be okay in there to share what they're thinking and answer the questions that you might share and post for them.
So one thing that I found, our school, we're a technical college, so we network a lot with businesses, and I deal a lot with career placement with the students. So the big push for us was getting our name out there because we're such a small institution. So we've been finding that not only do we have our social media account for the actual college, but I have my own social media account under my school for career services, and then we have one for admissions, and then we update everything. But the main thing to get more eyes on, because I keep a lot of, every time we make a post, I go heavy on the analytics of it and want to see the engagement between different people that would actually engage with it or just swipe through it, are the hashtags that you were mentioning. So not only just creating a hashtag, but seeing what hashtags are trending currently and tag it under that, so then you'll have a totally different audience that you're impacting. So if I'm advertising for digital design, I'll maybe hashtag the software that they're using. And then that will notify that company or notify other people that are posting about it, about our candidates and all that too. So yeah, that's what we do.
Just checking the time. The other thing that I want to talk about, and it's not exactly social media, but it's something that someone else mentioned to me. It's the part of including the program as part of the institution. And something that we noticed is that as we started, we have a website. So not all the approved programs currently have their own website, not even under the institution. So that is something also to think about. I know that some programs might be working with the institution, but I will say that is something that you should look around. Ask who is the right person under your institution that can help you to be there. Because, I mean, you can go out and there are different places where you can host a website. Even they have their own tools to drag and drop and create a website in a couple hours. But what is the point if they don't tie you back to your institution? So maybe what you have to do is just go around, ask around, who are the people that are handling the marketing and the communication for your institution, making sure that they can help you with that part. Making sure that they're not going to, if they create a site for you, they might not bury you 3 steps down, making sure that your URL actually says who you are and it has the correct information. If that happens, ask them, how are you going to update your content? How are you going to make sure that your content is current, that the information is up to date? Is that something that you have to connect with them every time that you want to, or something that you can access and you can put up the new application form, the new admission deadlines, or that kind of things? Making sure that if you have that website, you have the power of the way to actually make it current and making sure that the information up there for your community is up to date.
Touch base on what you had mentioned earlier about the marketing aspect of it. So one thing that our school invested in was a marketing agency, and it actually helped out quite a bit. So we are using, I believe it's Q1 Media out of Austin, Texas, and we're located in Cape Coral, Florida, so 3.5 hours south. One thing that they do is they do sort of like through IP addresses, which is kind of creepy if you think about it, but through the IP addresses, they do a polygon kind of design out of, like, let's say graduation ceremonies. They'll do a polygon out of that, and it'll pretty much notify the graduates that are graduating from high school about our school. Once they enter into that building, a pop-up will come up on their social media feed about us. So there's a lot of options out there. It's pretty costly, but like you were saying earlier, you can put that into a budget, and that's what helps out, because we actually have, for our small technical college, X amount of thousands of dollars that we can use for marketing, and we push that towards a campaign for 3 months, 4 months, and then see the results out of that. And we usually do it during a high enrollment period for fall enrollment or for spring enrollment. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's actually why, because I saw your message in Huva and I said, and we were talking about that during the FPCTP grant workshop that we had. People asked Janice, can we have that in the budget? And she said, of course. It is okay. That's part of the job. Putting the word out, and if it costs money, we put money into it. We don't hire marketing. We have our marketing team. So that's how we did it. So you also can do that, and it's fine. And they're gonna be very glad, because I was surprised when we were putting all the grant information into the CSUA community. We were kind of entering all the budgets, and I never saw anyone with a line item for marketing or communication. It was like, wow, this is something we need to tell them. It's okay. It's okay to do this. Think about how much do you need, how much per year. It is fine.
Yeah, it was worth it for us when we saw the difference of when we hit COVID, because we're a technical college. Like 80% of our work in school is hands-on, and we couldn't. We had to do everything virtual and working from home. So that set up a totally different barrier for us and a really big challenge for enrollment. And that's where the marketing campaign really kicked in, really helped out. But without that, I don't know, it would have been very difficult.
It is different, yes. Okay. Okay. What else? Let me just check. The other thing I think that we also wanted to mention is, and it's part of the inclusion piece that I was trying to communicate, is the website, making sure that your institution knows what you're doing. Like, we were trying to put the word out about this event with UCF. So make sure that your marketing department knows. So if you have to do is, first day of Drexler was writing a press release, just to making sure that we get the word out that this event is happening, and we're for sure now that we're going to do that more. Making sure that you're connecting with the right people, so they can tell the story of the program, because those success stories are the ones that are going to make sure that you have families' interest in the students more involved with the program. So that is definitely something to also consider.
As far as finding employment for students, do you find that it's better for a Facebook page, a LinkedIn page? What would be a better platform?
I think the answer is depends, because it depends on the field, I'll say. But I would say LinkedIn might be a good way to start because of the high number of companies that are in there. And actually, let me see, what is that? It's like millions of companies have their pages there, and they have recruiters looking for people. So make sure, something that we actually did with our intern from IES, we make sure that she had a LinkedIn page when she exited her internship, which was the last thing that she did before she graduated. We sat down, we worked with her, she put all the information, all her experience in there. And she said there are a lot of tools in there that you can help your students to say, I'm open to work, I have graduated. So you can put that on your profile picture. Make sure that recruiters know, that companies know. She was interested in nonprofits. So we made sure that she sat down and she looked for those companies, those nonprofits around the area where she lived. And she connected with them. We tell them, look, minimum of 10 that you know, that you feel identified with the work that they do, and connect with them. Let them know that you are ready, that you graduated, and you're ready to work. So that's a good way. I think it is something that we have also to get on ourselves. Any other questions? Yeah, sure. Okay.
I don't know if met some of you, but I have a magazine, Parenting Special Needs Magazine, and we do a September-October special on colleges and inclusive programs. And so anyways, it's a shameless plug, but to let you guys know, because we reduce our ad rate so that we can help you guys get out there. So,
Well, that's good to know. Thank you so much.
and just so you know, the magazine is, like, we probably have about 200,000 on our Facebook page. We probably reach about 300,000, but we are national. It's not just Florida.
Well, that's good
But we're trying to let all of the people know about
that you're here, right? Well, that's fine. I will suggest, why don't you go ahead and share that information in this session in Hoover? So you put the information in there, go there and put it as a comment, or just in the app. Just go find this session and put it in there so we can all just follow you. Thank you so much. Okay. Well, I think that's it. Anyone has any other input, questions?
So my last question is, I'm part of Facebook groups and I see how they're great places for folks to interact with one another. Are there spaces on like Insta and TikTok that are similar to that? Or is Facebook group the best place to get folks to interact with one another?
I think the answer is Facebook groups. Okay. Yeah, I never seen like a private groups or anything in Instagram.
You can make a Instagram group, like just make a page, just for specifically for your group. But that's about it.
Make it private.
Make it private, right?
Like maybe your program Facebook page is public as ours is. So if you want to have one that is only your students
Right.
or only their parents, you can make it private, and you only accept the ones that you want to accept.
Like, for example, I'm part of the Peloton group on Instagram, and like Peloton itself has their own, page on Instagram where it's public, and then the Peloton group is like, oh, it's private. You have to like actually request.
Follow their
Right.
request
So
and
you can
follow
make.
them. So you can do that too, and that way you can have both if you want.
Right. You're welcome.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, everyone. I hope that this was helpful. And if you have any other questions, please reach out to us. I mean, we love to help anyone that wants to like keep going with this. We are in our own journey trying to make put the word out also about the center there. So we are happy to share information with you. Anything that we'll learn, we will share. So please reach out to us. Thank you so much.